So I wanted to read an article that I thought would be encouraging, and it's a rather lengthy read, so I'll do it over the courses of a couple of videos. And it was written October 17th, 1895, The Gospel Trumpet by W.G. Schell. And it's a really good article, and it blessed me, and I hope it'll bless you too. It's called Importunity. I feel that the Lord would have us to deliver a message on importunity. Pray God that He will enable us all to understand it, for it is one of the great secrets of success in a Christian life. We turn to Isaiah 62, 6 and 7. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, and give him no rest, till he until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. Here God declares that he has set judges upon the walls of Zion, who shall not hold their peace day nor night. They are to preach the gospel and give the people no rest. And while they are engaged in constant preaching, they are also to engage in constant prayer. For the text says, give him no rest. The him here is God. Give him no rest until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. Give God no rest? What is implied in that? Why, it simply means to keep bothering him with your prayers until he answers. If nobody prayed any more than some men do, God would have a great deal of rest, for some people don't disturb God very much with their prayers. Now the commandment demands of us that we importune. Do you know what importune means, don't you? It means continuously asking. It means to ask and ask and ask and ask and ask and keep on asking and give God no rest until he answers. Well, says one, I don't know. I didn't know we had to do that way. Well, perhaps this is the reason God wants me to deliver this lesson this morning. Yes, my brother, God wants you all to learn the lesson of importunity, for there are many of you too negligent. You haven't gotten any spiritual continuity, though. A great many of you, if you desire something from God, will ask lazily, and if he doesn't come back, you will somewhat like a balky horse push back, quit, and then conclude that the whole thing is in the hands of God. But brethren, you are mistaken. Sometimes you have to carry requests through a long season of difficulties before they reach the hands of God. Well, says one, I didn't know that a telegraph line from here to heaven was attended by so many difficulties. Well, that is just why you do not have better victory than you have. You thought it was easier to get messages through than it actually is. Well, says one, I have gotten answers instantaneously. Yes, and so have I. God has even fulfilled this promise to me. It shall come to pass before you call, I will hear, and while you are speaking, I will answer you. But he doesn't do that every time. He wants me to dig while sometimes, and he wants you to. If you don't do deep and continuous and thorough digging, you will have a great many dry wells. Now I'm going to show you one of the commandments of the New Testament that some of you have not learned to obey as yet, as you should. Ephesians 5 and 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Here, God positively commands us to understand his will. But my brethren, how many times have you made petitions to God and received no answer at all? You called on the elders when you were sick. Perhaps you have been anointed. They had prayed for you. You had prayed for yourself, and you've got no answer at all. Haven't you had such experiences? Yes, you have, brethren. Some of you, God answered nothing, neither by stretching forth his hand to heal, nor by the Spirit witnessing in your heart. In a day or two, you threw the whole petition overboard, concluding that it was not God's will to heal you, but you did not know for sure. God didn't tell you it was not his will to heal you. And lazily you ceased to pray. Brethren, you did no wrong. God commands you to give. Brethren, you did wrong. God commands you to give him no rest until you know his will. Be not unwise, says the commandment, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. It is your privilege, my beloved, to know God's will concerning everything that pertains to your salvation and to your personal interest. When you offer a petition and receive no answer, it is your duty to ask again and again and again until the answer is received. But can we prove by the Bible that importunity is necessary? Let us see. I will now turn to the 18th chapter of Luke in the first 8 verses. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. There was in a city a judge which feared not God, nor regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, Hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him? Though he bear long with them, I tell you, he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Now, we have before us a parable, and all of the parables of Christ teach us a lesson. What is the lesson intended to be gathered from this one? The first verse tells us it's spoken to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint. In the parable, a certain widow went to a certain ruler to have a certain man arrested, an enemy of hers who had wronged her in some way. He gave her no law, but she was not easily discouraged. She brought her case to court and again, and asked the second time for the arrest. The judge refused the second time. She brought her case the third time. She refused again. She brought her case the fourth time. He refused to give her law again and again and again, but she kept bringing her case into court. Finally, the judge concluded that though he feared not God nor man, for his own personal interest and for the sake of a little peace, he had better have the man arrested and get rid of the woman. So he avenged her of her adversary. What moved the judge to do it? Continuous asking. She was determined she was going to have all the law upon it, and she did not receive a denial. She asked again and again and again and again. Finally, to get rid of the judge had her adversary punished. Now remember, this parable is to teach us to always pray and not to faint. We can get no lesson from it except the lesson of importunity, the lesson of repeating our petitions to God until he answers either affirmatively or negatively. Then after Christ told the parable, he says, Hear what the unjust judge saith. What did the unjust say? He says, I will avenge her, lest her continually coming here weary me. Christ wanted us to learn a special lesson from that saying of the judge. This is the lesson he wanted us to learn. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto them, though he bear long with him? Mark, it is those who cry day and night unto him who get the answers. Now God teaches here clearly that we don't get answers to our prayers every time when we have offered the prayers the first time. God withholds the answer sometimes for a while to sink us deeper into humility, to develop our faith, and to test our importunity. And in such cases, if we do not continue to repeat our petition, we will not get the answer at all. Now I turn to Luke 11:5-10. And he said unto them, Which of you shall have a friend, and shall go to him at midnight, and say unto him, Friend, lend me 3 loaves, for a friend of mine, and his journey is come to me, and I have nothing to set before him. And from within shall answer and say, Trouble me not, the door is now shut, and my children are here with me in bed. I cannot rise and give thee. I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him, because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity he will rise and give him as many as he needeth. And I say unto you, ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Now we have a lesson here, just like we have read in the 18th chapter. This time it was a man who wanted to borrow 3 loaves of bread of his friend at a late hour at night. It was midnight. He asked his friend to arise and lend him 3 loaves. No, says his friend, my children are in bed with me. It's late and everything is quiet. The door's locked. I can't give you any bread tonight. Come back in the morning, doubtless, he said. It is so late. If I arise, I will wake the children, and they will set up a cry. I cannot give you any bread at this hour. But please do, said his friend on the outside. A friend of mine in his journey stopped with me this evening. I am out of bread. I have no bread for his breakfast, and he must be off at an early hour. I shall not have time to bake biscuits. I will not have time to run clear over here before breakfast. It will delay him in his start on his journey. Please get up and lend me 3 loaves. No, says the man from within. It is late. I can't get up. You come over in the morning. You should have come here sooner. And who knows how many such excuses he would have not arisen and given him bread. But the friend knew no denials. He did not accept such answers. Please, please, he said, give me 3 loaves. Oh, please do. How did it finally end? Listen. 8th verse says, I say unto you, though he will not arise and give him because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity he will rise and give him as many as he needeth. Friendship would not raise that fellow, but importunity would. For the sake of rest and to get rid of him, he rose and got out of his bed. Now what is the lesson to be learned from this? Simply this, that if we continuously cry to God in our prayers, he will finally answer. Right here, brethren, is a great key to success. Many of you have been defeated by the devil simply because you did not drive your petitions with repetitions to the throne of God. Listen, 9th and 10th verses show us the lesson to be learned in the parable. I read, and I say unto you, ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. Every one that asketh receiveth. He that seeketh findeth. To him that knocketh it shall be opened. Here is the lesson of this parable. How many quote this promise with very little understanding of its depth? What did Jesus mean in his place when he says, ask and you shall receive? Many think he simply meant to say, Lord, give it to me, that is all. But the context shows that it is meant to ask and ask and ask. And if you keep on asking, you will finally receive. That is what he meant. For he preceded this promise with such a great lesson of importunity. I hope that blessed you. I will read in the next session of Importunity by W.D. Schell, October 17th, 1895.